Welcome again to Watercolor Studio 42, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about sometimes when we do just a kind of a standard type of a house, and sometimes I kind of do house portraits, but not so well because I can't do the kind of see all the fine little detail. But sometimes I'll make houses now that are like caricature houses. In other words, a simplified, drawings and so forth. And I can make a very good distorted house. That's not a problem, the little crooked house and so all that. But I have a little bit of trouble. I don't know if you've tried this thing that I was talking about, putting a whole bunch of dots on a piece of paper and then somehow connecting the dots. You can number the dots, you don't have to have them in any particular order. Probably go up to about, I don't know how many dots on the paper, maybe 35. So, and you can go to different dots. You can go 1 and then to 2 up here, 3, 4. And make a sort of an interesting pattern. And this is one that I did the other day that came out. I kind of had something in mind, but I wanted to make somebody like seated. And so I was connecting the dots, and this worked pretty good for the hat, and then down around the body shape, so forth. The person is seated, and the arms came out. And so I made the arms kind of holding on to like maybe a newspaper or a large something. But that's connecting the dots. Now, of course, when you do this little exercise, you want to keep in mind you can move it around in different positions so that you can kind of connect the dots this way and that. So that's a little exercise, like I said, just putting dots on your paper at first and then going that way. Now, I'm going to take a little drink today. This is the weather, you drink a lot of water. So got some water from my bucket and also something to drink. Now, sometimes when you're drawing a house, I'm going to show you probably where we make the biggest mistakes. Usually when you do a house, well, you start with the roof. You make the shape of the roof, if it's a pointed roof and so forth. And then you do the sides. The sides are always shaped. But what some people have trouble with when they draw it, they don't know what to do with the back end of the house, the roof. Now what you should do, see how this will look kind of boxy? In fact, let me just put a line across the bottom here. That's another thing. We sort of make the house a little bit too boxy, especially on the back end and across the bottom. Now, a lot of times when I do buildings, I don't do just the front. The front of the house, they call it the facade, the front. But I like to show a little bit of the side of the house, like in this picture here, except that we make the mistake. Now, what you want to keep in mind, there's such a thing as a vanishing point. I call it the VP, vanishing point. And that's just when you look straight out at something or look straight down at it, whatever, straight up, whatever your eye level is to that vanishing point. And then you can draw the house, you can do the roof, you can put the roof in, you can put the side walls in. But, however, what you want to make sure you do, and I'm going to make it a little larger to emphasize, put a little dot out here, and that's going to be called the VP, the vanishing point, okay? So what we have to do, when I'll put this paper down on the table and show you what we have to do. I do it normally, I use a pencil. so that you can erase some of the lines afterwards that you don't want in there. But this is what I'm going to do it today with a marker so it will show up. So we're going to be doing this. You got the one side of the building, and now we're going to draw those lines out to the vanishing point, okay? So to make it so my lines are a little bit not so crooked, let's use the ruler. From the point of the roof, you lay the ruler on your paper and draw a line. Now normally you'd be using a pencil. You can make it much lighter than what I'm doing. But this goes to the vanishing point, okay, to that dot. Now on the next corner here, where the roof slants and goes to the wall, you can put another line from that point out to your vanishing point, okay? So now we got that in. Now, the bottom, the base of the house, the bottom, maybe the cellar area, you're going to draw from that line. Again, we're going to go up to, from that bottom point, we're going to go up to the vanishing point, okay? So you have something that looks like this. 1, 2, 3 lines. All of those lines are going out to the vanishing point. So now we have to decide, well, how much length of the house? Like if it's going to be a covered bridge, it's going to be quite a bit longer, or any type of bridge, it would be quite a bit longer. A long building for whatever the product you're making, like ropes and things. So you'd have a longer building. Now, so back to looking at it on the table here. Now, the verticals are pretty much always vertical, okay? So how long do you want the house to be? Well, you can put it out here. Let's put a dot right there along that line, and then down below. Let's get the ruler to line up with the front. Okay, so you could make the building, let's say, the length of it like that. Now what we have to do here is draw the same angle that you had in front, the same angle down where, let's put the dot back here. I had it up there, let's move it here. So we're going to draw from that dot from the roof down to the corner of the house. Let's see if I can get the angle. Okay, it looks okay. All right, so the back end of the house is going to be the same angle as the front on the roof. Now another thing too, this doesn't have to go straight across like we did here, because this looks too boxy, right? What I was talking about in the beginning. So what we want to do is put that line just a little bit of a slight angle. It might go across ever so slight, but we'll put that line across here. Okay? Now, what part you're going to erase is all of this out here. All these lines are going to be taken out. That's why I said normally you use a pencil so that you can erase it easier. Okay, so now all of the other detail you might put on the house can be drawn to a vanishing point. Everything that would be over here goes that way. I'm not going to do the vanishing point, but there is a dot across here. That's the bottom of the building could be going to a vanishing point, and then that's about it. The door casing would probably go to either angle if it's centered. So, anyways, wherever you're going to put the door in, let's put something. What will make it easier for ourselves? Let's say the door is going to be right here. So if you put that angle, and that's going to be always vertical, but this angle here might go slightly with the ground line, okay? And we'll bring this side down. I probably didn't make it exactly vertical. Let's put the line down there. Oops. Let's go over that a little bit more. There you go. Now we got sort of a doorway there, and I'm not going to put a whole series of windows in, but if you wanted to put a window in, you can draw the verticals, one here, one line there, and then from the top of that, you can take from the top of the window you're going to draw out to the vanishing point. You don't have to go that whole length, but it would go that way. Then the base of the window, the bottom of the window, you're going to put a line from the bottom of that out to the vanishing point. So even the window is lined up with the vanishing point. And you do a whole series of windows depending on the length of the building, of course. And now I'm just going to put in, repeat my vertical, and that's going to kind of conform to the verticals of the corner of the house. So here you have your building, and I kind of overdid that a little bit on that side, but I can do something with that. Well, make it look like, part of a tree or something back there, whatever. But now, here's another thing too. You know how if you're doing a driveway or walk or looking down the railroad tracks, all those tracks or the driveway or the walk kind of go in. They go into, but they're wider as you look. If you're standing here, the walk could be this wide, but by the time you get down there, it looks narrow. But it could be about the width. Now, whatever you want to do with the rest of this, you can show where it ends. This could be the street out along to here, right? Something like that. Okay? So that's pretty much how that would work. Now, again, these lines out here, that you take them out, erase them, and there you have your building. Okay, so this just gives you an idea how that works. Now, I'm just going to finish this off because this is going to be I'll finish this a little bit today. Now remember, these lines are going to disappear, so we could probably do something. Well, I could make it look like it's back here. We could make that look like it's a hill, and all of this could be like in the backyard trees. So I'm going to kind of fill all of that in. On this side, you could do the same thing. You could show some trees coming up in back here. If you want to add more detail, you want to finish the sash in the window, that's fine. If you want to put a chimney on the top, I'm doing this freehand, by the way, now. You can use a ruler if you want. So I'm just adding all the extra details to it. Now, as far as how far you want to go in the background, you want to put off in the distance. You could have some hills, mountains, or whatever you want it, whatever you want to do with it. And you could put some other things. You could put an automobile. You could put a mailbox out in front, something like that. Whatever you want to add to your picture, okay? But here's the idea of it, and I'm emphasizing, when you're doing a building, try to put that dot where the vanishing point is and draw the lines from top to the point of the roof down to the corner to the bottom. 1, 2, 3, ABC, okay? Those are very important to put in. Otherwise, sometimes you don't know exactly what to do. This is kind of wrong, that would be wrong, maybe a wrong. It makes the building look too boxy, and it makes it a little bit difficult to manage. So that has to be closed in here, and that will make a world of difference, okay, when you're doing your houses. So that's something you might want to practice on a piece of paper, practicing doing a drawing of a building. You can just do the front part first. If you want to get one side even with the other, you can take a piece of paper, fold it, and draw one half of the building, cut it out, and just trace around it. Then you get the roof the pitch even, okay, on the roof angle. Okay, now, what else do we have? What's more, see, now, we're going to finish this one off today, and finish it off a little bit for you. And if it's if it's a house portrait, I usually save all of the house for last, and I do the landscape. We'll start with the sky. We'll do the background, the mountains maybe off in the distance, and then we can do some trees. We'll do the grass and so forth, and we'll do it. So it's a step-by-step thing. It's always kind of, well, what I do anyways, I always do the, when I'm doing a picture outside, I always start with when I paint in, I start with the sky, and then I paint the ground, and then the trees and so forth. I do just about everything except for the house. I can save the walk for last, you know, whatever you want a walk to be. It could be a cement walk, gravel stone walk, whatever you want the texture to be. It could be just a regular dirt walk, you know, that type of thing. And whatever else you would add to the picture. That would be strictly up to you. But at least we want to make sure we get the house kind of squared away and get that in the right perspective. But a lot of times, if you're doing something at random, and this is, let's say you're starting off, and you say, well, I don't mind, I want to make a crooked house, so everything has to be crooked and distorted or whatever, and that's easy to do. Well, it can be easy to do, but you don't have to worry about, oops, I made a mistake, I went, you know, on the wrong angle here or there. No, it could be crooked, but you have to be consistent. You know, if you start crooked, you want to keep everything else crooked. That type of thing, you know. I guess for the most part. All right, now let's see. I got some. I always keep my. Today I'm just using regular napkins and paper. I had some paper towels, but they got kind of soggy. I left the bag out overnight. Sometimes I paint outside underneath my umbrella on the deck, you know, on the table on the deck. And I left my bag on the chair. Last night it rained, so I had a problem with everything got kind of soggy, even my apron. That's why I don't have my apron on today. It's so soggy. Okay, now, so here we go. I just put out, if you're not sure what colors to use, you always want to start off with your primary colors. I usually keep the yellow up here, red to the right, or left, I'm sorry. I'm looking at upside down, to your left, and then the blue over here. So you leave some wells empty in between if you want to mix some of these colors. These are the primary colors, your yellow, reds, and blue. And of course, if you want orange, you take a little bit of, I start with yellow first, put a little bit of red in it, stir it around, make orange. If you want to make like green, I start off with yellow, put a little bit of blue, mix it around. And then if you want to mix your purple or violet, then you could go across and mix in any one of the empty wells here. I usually probably would start with red and add a little bit of the blue to it. So you could go, you know, whatever you want to do with that. All the colors mixed together will make a gray or a black color, right? Evenly mixed together. Okay, now, see what we got here. I'm going to put some, if I'm going to paint sometimes, and I got a nice tablecloth, which I always don't have a tablecloth. If I have to cover the table, I use a piece of clear plastic. I got one of those things that protects the table. And it wipes off easy. Let's put this down here. Okay. Put the picture right there. All right. Now, let's see what we got here. Again, if I'm obeying myself, I'll start outdoor pictures at the top. And we'll put a dash of sky in. If you want to leave some white in there, just leave the white of the paper. Here we go. I'm just going to wet up in here. Wet up in the upper part here. Just clear water, okay? You don't have to be too fussy at all. You just drop it in. Use a big brush. Then you take a pinch of your, where is my palette here? Running away on me here. Oh, that's another thing too. If you're left-handed, keep your water on your left side, your palette on your left. If you're right-handed, water, palette on your right side, okay? All right, here we go. Let's put a little dab of blue in there. Sometimes I check it, make sure there's not, oh, I might have something on the brush here. Now, that, oh brother, I don't want that one. I looked at the tube quick and I thought it was blue. It's really Page gray. I could use it later on down the road though. In fact, use it for the road. Okay, let's clean the brush off here. Let's try this blue over here. Ah, we do have blue. All right, we're gonna just kind of dab around here. Like I said, if you want to keep some clouds in there, just keep it light. Now, if you paint the whole thing blue and you want to put a cloud back, just blot it quick before the paint can settle in. Okay. See what happens? Okay. Get some more paint on the brush here. Ah, that's better. Shows up now. All right. You can leave some clouds in there. And what I do a lot of times, if I want to put a cloud back in before the paint settles in, I just blot it. It might be a little bit heavy on the edges or whatever. I just blot that. And now, if I'm not going to use blue anywhere, like for a little brook or a stream or something, we can do some the green for the mountains in the background. Now, what did I say about, let's clean this up a bit. Get some of that Payne's gray out of there. Okay, now, if we want to do some green, I take yellow. You can put that in an empty well somewhere or put it out here. I use a light color first, then take a little pinch of my blue, stir that in. Okay, see, I'm being cautious. I'm being extra cautious here. And you can make your greens darker by just keep adding extra blue into it. Okay, mix it around. And let's do some of this background here. Okay, usually I make the hills kind of sharp a little bit. Pay down into here. Now you notice this time I didn't start with wetting the paper because I want to control the brush a little bit more, so I don't want it to be too wet. Okay, here we go. Up through here. Out around. If you want to save the chimney, you can. And just paint in here. Around the chimney, down the side. Go into the background. Doesn't matter what you do out there. Now, what's happening here? The sky, the blue sky was still wet, so my green paint is blurring into that, which is all right if you want to create the illusion of something fading away. That's good. But if you don't want that to happen, you just make sure you use your brush like a sponge and pick up some of that paint, and let the sky dry a little bit more and then come back and repaint it again. Now, while we're thinking of using green, why don't we take and use the green down in here for the grass, right? So now we get this here. You might get to a point where you're running out of yellow, so you might have to go back in and add a little bit more paint to your wells to get the shade of green you want. If you want the grass to be a little darker than the background, then you have to add a little bit more of a darker color blue into the green. Now that's coming out too light. Let's see what I can do. Ooh, I don't know. I might be overdoing it here. Make bluegrass, right? You want to make some bluegrass. Let's see what that does. Oh boy. Okay. This tells me I better put some more yellow out. Alright. We need some more yellow. Let's see what we can do. Because, okay, let's say for example, you do that. Just let's pick it up. You can lighten that up quite a bit by blotting it. Okay? Now, let's try this again. Let's put some more yellow in there. Add quite a bit of the darker blue. See what that looks like. Okay, that's not too bad. Now, if this is too large a brush for a smaller area, you could always put this aside, rinse it out a little bit, pinch it out, and let's do this. Let's go back up with, this is considered a round brush, and they all have numbers. This is a larger brush, so it's probably around a 12 to 14, somewhere in there. Okay, we're going to do some ground, and you can go over the lines a little bit, that won't hurt. And remember, normally we would erase all of this back here. Okay, that would be erased. I'm going to hide it with some darker color, maybe real dark. In this case. Okay, it'll take quite a bit to hide that. Normally that would be pencil, right? Okay, let's get this out of the way here. Okay, we'll hide some of the lettering I put there for the VP. We'll hide the vanishing point, right? Okay. Now you see I'm still working from basically the top down. Let's do a little bit on this side. If I've got something sticking up, if I don't want that, that could be anything. It could be part of the pole for something, flagpole even, but it wouldn't be really on the corner of your house. That kind of look too good. So we'll just hide it. Yeah, just cover it up. Normally it wouldn't show up because you'd be using a pencil to put in the lines to the vanishing point. Yeah, I can bump that up a little bit, make it look like some kind of trees back in the distance here. Want to make it to a point, just pull some of that out. Lift up with the brush when you go out, so everything goes to a point. Okay, let's fill in over here a bit. There we are. Okay. All right. Now, come down here. Kind of have to keep it a little bit clean on the edges. Otherwise, if you go over, like, especially if you're doing a building, if you go over with the green, it will look like there's a hedge or something, or another tree that's on the corner of the building. So you have to be careful. I may make that look like some hedges across here eventually. Okay, let's pull this across. All right, now you can make the grass a little bit different shade. We'll put a little bit more yellow into it. And we're going to paint it right across in here. Sometimes this time of year, you know, some people, they cut the grass too short. And what happens is that you get a hot spell, and here goes the grass for the summer. It just burns up, dries out. And if you don't want to cut the grass too often, cut it short and let the sun burn it, right? But it's not a great idea. That wouldn't be a good idea. You have to be careful. Not only you want to be careful about the grass, you want to be careful about yourself too. You don't want to be out in that sun too much without sunscreen. Okay, here we go. Now, if you want to leave some little highlights in there, that's kind of a characteristic of watercolor. To leave sometimes some little openings, or little patches, they call them windows, of white paper showing through. Okay, I'm going to leave that, probably make that a little bit like the road color. Okay, now, while I'm thinking about it, I'm just going to go back, and now that the sky is drier, let's go back and redo the contour up in here and clean up that hillside over here. Okay, that's better. There you go. Pull that down, pull it, blend it in, pull it down. Okay, you get the idea of that. Now, you could do a lot of things with this. I mean, I'm doing this kind of a little bit in a hurry, but you can do a lot of things with it. Add a little bit of extra. You can have a tennis court. You could put a swimming pool on the side of the house. You could have a play yard, like a slide or something for children. A swing set. That's what we've got in our yard still. We still have the younger grandchildren, you know, that come over to visit, so we just left the swing set up instead of taking everything down. And whoever wants to use it, you know, they can when they visit. Except for us adults, probably. Okay, might be a little bit heavy for the swings, especially children's toys. Okay, now, this is something you can do. You can clean your brush off, and you can just go into any area while it's still moist and lighten it up. You could add whatever highlights you want in there, and use your brush. Use your brush like a sponge. That's one thing I gotta pick up some. I'm running out of sponges. I buy those natural sponges instead of the commercial ones you can buy for other things other than probably what to use for art. Okay, now this is up to you. If you want to put some of the driveway in, you can make the asphalt. It's a little bit dark. We can kind of pull that out a bit. Spread the water around. Now, if this gets a little bit too dark, you don't want that. You take a clean piece of paper towel here, place it across there, light, tap it lightly. Pick up some of that moisture and paint. Just make sure you take this off. Ooh, came out good, didn't it? All right. Now, what paint I have here now, I can just take my brush. I got water on the brush, and I can just pull some of that paint around. You can make a shadow on one side where the light source is coming from. We'll talk about that. I always have to make a decision where the light's coming from. You should make that decision earlier on, before you even start. Sometimes I put tape around my paper to hold it flatter. I didn't do that today. Didn't take the time to do that. So you can erase some of that. Again, make sure you've got a clean area of your paper towel, and you can hit it in places. Pick up some of that, lighten it up a bit so it looks like asphalt. Something like there. Now that's up to you. If you want to leave some texture in there, you can. You can even go back into this with your marker, and you can draw some more detail in. The only trouble with markers, they don't work on wet paper. Permanent markers, they don't work. So you have to make sure before you try to draw with them, you have to make sure the paper's dry. Now, usually a barn or a house, you can make it any color you want. I haven't used red yet. Let's make it a little bit red. How's that? Get some of that in there. Pink. A little bit of pink. You want it darker, just make sure you put more paint on your brush. And you can just paint in there the building. Again, here's another decision you have to make. Where the light's coming from. So let's say if this side's going to be the light side, this is going to be this side here can be a little bit darker. Okay, it can be a little bit darker. You can darken it with the color itself, or down the road we can add a little bit more darker color into the paint. Okay, and out here you can keep this. Let's clean it up a little better. Kind of spread the paint around smoother. You can put some little shadows under the eaves and all that texture. Okay, now this is going to be the darker side, so that means when we do this side it can be a lot lighter. Now this is up to you. You can paint through here if you want to paint through the windows. Because the windows can be a lot darker. Or let's say, for example, you wanted to make them lighter right now. Just before the paint sets up, just hit it in there. Blot it. Okay? So there's that. Now, the door can be a blue door, black door, whatever you want it to be. Could be a, we'll make it sort of a little bit of a blue in it. Now, sometimes the windows, if it's on the sunny side, you might be able to see some color of the curtains in the window. But normally, artists, when they paint, if they're doing a building, the shadow side, they don't get too fussy with the windows, so they just paint it in with a darker color. But if you want to show a little bit of like a curtain or something, you could put some color in there, kind of make it look like a curtain of sort. You might say, well, if this is a shed or a barn, you're not apt to put curtains in the window, too fancy, But now, sometimes you could leave the roof white if you want. If that's a chimney, you might want to make it brick. We could put that a little bit of red in there. I think I'm going to use a smaller brush. It's a little bit fussier to do that little shape in there of the chimney. You can work that around a little bit more. There you go. Touch that up. Now that can be a little bit darker if you want also. You could touch up the door a little bit more. I'll put more blue into it. Just a little bit. It could be a gray door. I guess I'll put a little bit more blue into it. Whatever, touch it up. It looks kind of funny though, doesn't it? Got a red, white, and blue house here. Now, if you don't want that to be too blue, make sure you got a clean piece of tissue here. You can blot the door, make it a little bit lighter, and you can blot the window if you don't want too much light showing through there. Now, you can put around the house. My wife, she's good with the gardening. You can put little plants out here around the foundation of the house. If you want to leave the roof white, you can, or you can kind of tame it down a little bit. Sometimes I just put a little bit of shading on it, just to give it a little bit more contrast. That's another thing too, when you do how fussy you have to be with the texture, like shingles. That's all fussy stuff. Even siding on the side of the house, you can put the lines in, so forth, with a very fine pen probably. Now, let's see what else we could do. This is something, you can think about. Let's say if you want to put more of a sunset across the sky or something, you can always put that back in. Let the blue, make sure it's drier so the paints don't start mixing. You can make that look more like a sunset. Just add a little bit of orange in there. So you can make a kind of pretty picture out of that. And that reflection of the sun, you can pick that up on the roof, whatever you want to do with it. If you got a little bit of a speck out here, you can either wet it and erase it, or you can make another little tree or a bush. I can't hide it, so I'm just going to put a little speck in there, like make a bush or a tree, right? Just add some foreground. Another thing you can do, when this dries, you can make a little bit of a fence. And I don't know if I got a thinner marker or not. Well, this one would work, I guess, yeah. We'll see. I hope it works. Now, you can do this with a ruler if you want, but all you have to do is go along like this. Let's get this out of the way. You can come along through here, and you can put it like a fence in here. Okay, I don't know if I can do it. That's kind of dried out. My markers are drying out here. I got a lot of markers somewhere. That's the one I just had. Well, I'll have to use a little heavier one. But you can make it like a fence through here. Whatever you want. This is supposed to, I started to make a mailbox out of that. I think you'd want to put the mailbox in front of the fence so the mailman doesn't have to climb the fence. Okay. Something like this. And if you want to put some crossbars, you put some bars in there. Kind of hit and miss here. Yeah, give it a little bit more texture in the foreground. Okay, what else? You can put something along here if you want. Now you could draw this freehand if you want to. If you feel comfortable about doing something like that, you could put some little specks out here. Could be something like a garden. You could put some little specks over here. Could be bushes, trees. Out in here, that could be another little bush or a tree, whatever you want it to be. Just to break up that large space there. Okay. All right. Now, if you want to make the background a little bit more defined, like that's fading away, we could kind of take, once it dries, you can sort of outline it a little bit more and have a slope down in here if you want. Okay, let's see what else. A couple of birds. Yeah, make 3, uneven number. How's that? You could have some things around. You could put animals out there, cows or sheep or whatever you want. Add something to it. Let's put a little line in the window here for the sash. Okay. Now, if you wanted to show some of the siding, you can put some texture in for that. Whatever. Doorknob. Steps, possibly. Whatever. So there's different things you can do with it. Okay, to finish your picture off. So, in a way, this is what I have to do a little bit more of now. I have to kind of outline things a little bit more so it shows up. It's almost like doing a coloring book, all you do is fill in the color around the printed images. Whatever you want to do with it. Okay, so here we go. Now, again, we want to emphasize, pay a little bit more attention to the vanishing point. They do have some books on perspective drawing. I don't think you have to go too far into it unless you're going to get into a very complex type of vanishing points, like looking down in between skyscrapers and buildings like that. So I wouldn't get too excited about, but you should know a little bit about the basics of that vanishing point when you're doing a picture a lot of times, like a simple drawing and whatnot. That you want to get it right. Now, this is up to you how much more. If you want to show a little bit more, you could show like a barn or a building or something off in the distance. You could have that fence go back here a ways. Not too much detail, but you can add a little bit to that. Add some texture here and there. You can emphasize a little bit more shadowing if you want, and go through that. So show some grass going on the edge of the road here. Whatever texture you want to add to it. So that would give you an idea how that works. We've got a little bit of time. So again, if you want to just have some fun, just take your piece of drawing paper. Doesn't have to be any particular size. And we're just going to tear a piece off here. And let's say you wanted to do a dot picture. And I usually do it at random. I don't even look at the paper when I do it sometimes. I don't want to see what I'm doing. Okay, so you're putting some dots out here. All right, and then you can take a marker if you want, and you can use different colors. Let's say I'll use green, a marker, right? So now I'm just going to connect some dots here and there. When you use green sometimes, it looks darker. Hey. So you're connecting different things together, and then you turn it around, look at it, and maybe you might see a figure in there. I sort of look as if a lot of times if I can find a figure of a person or an animal or fish or dog or cat, whatever, what might be in here. This looks like it could be like a little puppy dog in there, so you might want to just kind of see how that works, connect it together. I don't know if I can see a person in that or not. It's easy always to make trees, right? You can always make trees. Make a contour outline, make this sort of connect, make it like the trunk going into it, you know, things like that. And then turn it around, see, look at it from different points of view. One of the easier things might be like a vase shape and then have some flowers in it. And you can add extra dots if you want, and connect some of the dots if you want to make them kind of look like flowers. I'm just doing it kind of hurriedly, and there's some stems coming out of it. You can put some, maybe some leaves and things. And down here you could have this real fancy vase. How's that? Okay, so, oops, let's bounce it off. I need something off here, just to bounce it off. Something going in there. But you see how you can make something like a vase of flowers or of sort. So this is really an exercise of training your eye to kind of be more observant of things, more sensitive to shapes and forms. So you can have a lot of fun with it. So I'm getting kind of towards wrap-up time here, and so I'm going to have to grab a brush here. Hey, I haven't used that flat brush today. So anyhow, we'll probably see you next time, and hope that you'll visit with us, and send me a note if you'd like to the studio. But I'm just going to have to say brushes up and start painting if you haven't already started, okay? Okay, thank you.